1,064 matches, 35 trophies and a passing accuracy of 93.1%. Xavi Hernández is widely regarded as one of the greatest passers the football world has ever seen, celebrated for his dominant era with both Barcelona and Spain. But did you know there was a game where Xavi didn't lose the ball even once? And how did he become so exceptional in the first place? To find the answers, we need to go back to the very beginning of his remarkable career. Xavi Hernández Creus, the boy the world would later know as just Xavi, was born on the 25th of January 1980 in Terrassa, a city in Catalonia, located only around 20 kilometres away from Barcelona. To say football ran in Xavi's blood would be an understatement of the century. From the very first day he could walk, the young Spaniard was kicking a ball around with his family. His father, Joaquim, played for Sabadell, another club in Catalonia, while the team was still competing at the top flight of Spanish football. Xavi's brother also tried his hand at the senior level, playing for their local club's first team, Terrassa FC, before making a few moves along the ladder. So, growing up, Xavi lived and breathed football, whether he was at home with his brother and father, playing at school with his classmates, or even watching games on the TV. The young Xavi was learning the game and absorbing the knowledge left, right and centre. Thanks to his constant exposure and a dash of natural talent, he grew into an exceptionally skilled player for his age. But being exceptional isn't enough to make it to the top flight of Spanish and European football. If you want to earn glory, you have to be one of the very best, and the only way to do that is develop both a physique powerful enough to endure the fast pace of the game, and a mind sharp enough to track every opposing player's move before they even make it. Xavi dreamed of not just being a top flight player like his father and brother, but cementing his legacy as a genius of the game. At 11 years old, he had the skill and talent, but he was an uncut gem in need of refinement. There was only one place in the whole world that could provide the training he needed to become one of the all-time greats: La Masia FC, Barcelona's legendary youth academy. La Masia is pretty much a world-class talent factory, pumping out top-level players year in, year out. Only the most promising prodigies are allowed onto its grounds, and many don't end up making the cut. Pep Guardiola, Gerard Piqué, and the GOAT himself, Messi, are just a few of the legends who began their careers at La Masia. So, when Xavi learned that he had been accepted into the most prestigious football academy on the planet, he was overjoyed. But he also knew it was do or die. If he couldn't make it there, his dreams would be shattered. Xavi set straight to work and trained religiously, studying every part of the game down to the finest level. Not much is known about the details of how La Masia students are taught, as the academy keeps a tight lid on its secrets so the opposition don't learn Barcelona's tactics. What we do know is that Xavi developed an affinity for the now world-famous tiki-taka style, a football system characterised by short passes and movements, working the ball through various channels and furiously guarding possession. This silky smooth, beautiful style of play in possession, complemented by brutally locking down the opposition to regain control of the ball when they lost it, defined Barcelona's philosophy, and Xavi became its master. As a playmaking midfielder, he was instrumental in making the whole tiki-taka system work. It was his job to help guide the team in transition, link up with the forwards to create chances, and hunt down the ball when it was lost. Despite his training, Xavi still had a long way to go before he could call himself good, let alone great. Experience is the best teacher, and there are some things you can't learn by studying or training. He needed top-flight playing time. In 1998, at the age of 18, Barcelona finally gave him a shot. He came on against Lleida in the Copa Catalunya on the 5th of May, then played against Mallorca in the Spanish Super Cup, where he scored his first goal for the club. The following season, Xavi made his debut in La Liga, finally making it to the top of the Spanish football pyramid. He even scored the match-winning goal against Real Valladolid, earning him plenty of praise. Still, while pundits recognised the young talent's potential, breaking into the Barcelona side was far from easy, considering he was competing against the likes of Luis Enrique and Pep Guardiola. Not only that, but Barcelona as a whole was struggling due to poor performances on the pitch and financial troubles off the pitch, leaving them firmly mid-table. But Xavi loved fighting against the odds. Through sheer hard work and determination, he put together a whole string of great performances one after the other, cementing himself as a valuable part of the squad. His efforts helped keep Barcelona competitive, and under Louis van Gaal's leadership, they won the 1999 La Liga title. Xavi was named as the breakout player of the year as well. On the international stage, Xavi hadn't quite proven himself enough to earn a spot in the senior Spanish team, but played a vital role in the country's 1999 Under-20s World Cup victory, scoring some critical knockout round goals. As the 1999 to 2000 season rolled around, Xavi once again was given the chance to prove himself as Barcelona's top playmaker. Pep himself sustained a place on the bench, putting the young Spaniard into the starting 11. It might sound as if everything was going Xavi's way for his start, but he was actually under an immense amount of pressure. Not only were the standards of the club at an all-time high, but the financial difficulties Barcelona was experiencing hadn't simply vanished overnight. Considering Barcelona was competing with Real Madrid, arguably the greatest club in the history of the sport, any kind of slip-up could prove fatal in the pursuit of glory. Things were looking dire for the club, and the fans needed a hero to step up to the plate, grab the ball by the horns, and lead Barcelona into a new era of dominance. It was time for Xavi to transition from a young, talented prospect into a seasoned, world-class maestro. The world entered the second millennium filled with all kinds of new possibilities. With Arsenal fighting tooth and nail with the long-term dominant Manchester United for the Premier League title, some Spanish fans hoped Barcelona could lift itself out of its slump and ignite a fiery battle at the top of the First Division table with Real Madrid. But money means a lot in football, and Barcelona was broke. Due to their shortages, Xavi was asked to play a much more defensive role in midfield, which ran counter to his forward-pressing, visionary playmaking style. It was almost like telling Arjen Robben not to cut inside. It would be much harder for the young star to shine when he was out of his element. Once again, however, Xavi beat the odds. Not only did he play his role to perfection, he managed to bag a number of goals and assists despite his more defensive position in the midfield. Xavi scored 7 goals and racked up 20 assists over the following 2 seasons, numbers that most attacking midfielders would be proud of. How did he do this? Well, the key to Xavi's game was vision, movement and passing. Few players on earth could match how well he positioned himself to receive the ball, taking out defenders with a simple run that he could spot a mile away. Once he had the ball, Xavi was a master of putting just the right amount of pace and weight on his passes to create space for his forwards, even while playing deep. His through balls became the stuff of nightmares, cutting through teams like a knife through butter. Barcelona still weren't ready to compete at the very top, finishing in 4th place for Champions League qualification, but far from challenging for first. But the club was biding its time. The more experience Xavi gained, the more ruthless and clinical he became. In 2004, at the age of 24 and nearing his prime years, he was named vice-captain of the club and allowed to play back in his usual position in central midfield. After years of struggle, Barcelona finally felt able to compete for the title. No longer a boy, Xavi laced up his boots and readied himself for a hard-fought battle over the 2004 to 2005 season. The club soon found itself in a fierce fight for the La Liga trophy with Real Madrid, who were gunning for their 13th title. Xavi, now an irreplaceable part of the starting 11, played his heart out. The end of the season rolled around, and despite Real's best efforts, Barcelona emerged victorious. Xavi lifted the title trophy with his teammates for the second time, marking the beginning of what many Barcelona fans hoped was a new era of dominance. The league even named him Spanish Player of the Year for 2005. Winning La Liga was no small feat, but real glory lies on the international stage. Xavi set his sights on the most prestigious trophy in all of club football, the Champions League. Barcelona was a powerhouse of Spanish football, but at this stage the club had only ever won the European Cup back in 1992. Compared to their arch-rivals Real Madrid, who had won a staggering 9 Champions League titles, Barcelona had its work cut out for it.
The odds were definitely not in Xavi's favour, but if you hadn't learnt by now, that was almost an encouragement in his eyes. He saw the incredible potential of his team full of world-class talent, which had just been reinforced by none other than Lionel Messi himself. After playing some brilliant football the last season, the world watched on with bated breath to see what this exciting Barcelona team could accomplish. As for Xavi himself, he became known across the footballing world for his almost inhuman ability to rarely mess up a pass. Nearly every ball he played somehow managed to find itself perfectly nestled at his teammates' feet. Fans rarely saw him make a mistake, and the few times he did, it was almost headline news. Those who were hoping for a tight-knit battle at the top of La Liga table would leave disappointed. Barcelona wiped the floor with the other teams.
Sadly, Xavi suffered a devastating injury to his right knee at the end of the first half of the season, leaving him out for the lion's share of the year.
He only returned to the squad in April, but stayed on the bench for the most part. It was a nightmare come true for the Spaniard. Barcelona not only won the league that season, they also accomplished what Xavi had set out to win, the Champions League. Though he was part of the squad for the final win against Arsenal in Paris, he could only watch from the bench as his teammates earned all the glory. It left a bitter taste in his mouth. Many might be delighted to watch their childhood club lift the Champions League, especially from the team bench, but the very best professional athletes are built differently. Xavi was, of course, delighted for his teammates and for Barcelona as a whole, but his winning mentality meant he wanted nothing more than to be the one lifting the Champions League trophy himself. That elite drive for glory infected other parts of his game too. Most players would feel beyond proud to be known for rarely ever missing a pass, but even that wasn't enough for Xavi. He needed to be known as the man who found it physically impossible to miss a pass. So, he set to work on his recovery, determined to return stronger than ever. The world was not ready for what the man was about to become. Though Barcelona had won international glory at the end of the 2005 to 2006 season, it took them a couple of seasons to get back on track, as their manager, Frank Rijkaard, was on the way out. As the team's form began to dip, Xavi considered his options. Things hadn't been going as well as he'd liked, and fans began to wonder if the hype surrounding Barcelona may have been overblown. The unthinkable came to be. Xavi considered a move to Bayern Munich at the end of the 2007 to 2008 season. He had just won the 2008 Euros for Spain and had been named player of the tournament, two massive achievements, especially considering how strong the rest of the Spanish team was. Arguably the best midfielder on the entire planet, Xavi's career couldn't be put on hold while he waited for Barcelona to get its act together. But then one man changed everything. Pep Guardiola, Xavi's former senior teammate, the same man who had indirectly given him the opportunity to shine in the starting 11 due to his injury, was named the new manager. Pep sat down with Xavi and laid out all the players he had for the club, explaining how he intended to make him the engine of his midfield, built on the foundations of pure tiki-taka football.
Tiki-taka, that's something like this. So he puts the ball, but as quick as possible.
Being a football genius himself, Xavi could tell when someone had the same gift he did. "You are too important to leave," Pep told him. After a few talks with the manager, Xavi knew the man had the potential to build an unrivaled legacy. He stayed on, and the 2008 to 2009 season rolled around. It was time to see if Barcelona's legacy would thrive or peter out. Anyone who knows anything about football knows exactly what happened next. The 2008 to 2009 season went down in history for Barcelona, not just because of its star-studded team, which included Thierry Henry and Messi, but for the incredible feats the club achieved. Xavi, just as Pep had intended, was the central cog that made everything tick. He racked up a record 23 assists in the season, 4 of which came against Real in a historic 6-2 victory at the Bernabeu Stadium in Madrid.
Bagging 4 assists, 2 for Messi, 1 for Puyol and 1 for Henry is already a huge accomplishment. Bagging 4 assists in a fiery El Clasico away from home is a level beyond mere mortals. Unsurprisingly, Barcelona won La Liga at the end of the season with a comfortable 9-point margin, yet an incredible plus 70 goal difference in total. Everybody knew the team would be walking away with the club's 19th First Division title. The real question was, could they win it all? Their second test was the Copa del Rey final on the 13th of May. Their opponents, Bilbao, were determined to end their long trophy drought and fought back with fire in their bellies. Only 8 minutes after the whistle was blown, Torquero shocked Barcelona when he put the ball in the back of the net, giving Bilbao an early advantage. Was the dream team about to fall short at the final hurdle? Not a chance. The team pulled their socks up, dug deep, and thanks to Xavi's skills, regained control of the game. Barcelona equalised before half-time thanks to a Touré goal. Then Bilbao suffered an unstoppable attacking wave in the second half. First, Messi scored, then Bojan, and finally Xavi himself. The game ended 4-1, with Barcelona as champions, securing a very respectable domestic double for the club. Then came the final test, the last and tallest hurdle to clear, the Champions League final. On the 27th of May, Xavi and his teammates stepped onto the pitch in Rome, facing the English giant Manchester United, who were defending European champions. Even for this Barcelona side, it would be no small feat. If Xavi could put in a performance then and there, he would cement his legacy as a legendary midfield maestro. 90 minutes later, the final whistle blew. The Barcelona fans went wild. 1 goal by Messi and Samuel Eto'o sealed the deal, all orchestrated by Xavi's sublime performance at the heart of the game, netting an assist. He lifted the Champions League trophy high above his head, giving Barcelona a historic treble win, and even receiving the UEFA Man of the Match award for his efforts. If you can believe it, not even a treble could satisfy Xavi's hunger for glory. He wanted absolute perfection. The following season, he helped Barcelona rack up a staggering 99-point tally in La Liga, an all-time record for any team in Spain's history. On top of that, Xavi led Spain to an incredible World Cup win after a grueling 120-minute final against the Netherlands, winning back-to-back international trophies for his country. It's safe to say that at that point, Xavi was pretty much a god in the eyes of the Spanish. Over the course of the tournament, he made 599 passes with an unbelievable 91% accuracy rate. Almost perfect. Almost wasn't good enough for Xavi though. That missing 9% drove him mad, so he set to work once again. In the 2010 to 2011 season, Xavi made his 549th appearance for Barcelona, becoming the player with the most appearances for the club in its entire history. Add to that a La Liga win coupled with a 4th Champions League, and Xavi became a through and through club legend. Barcelona really came into its own in the 2010s, with Messi hitting his prime and talents like Cesc Fabregas and Thiago coming into the fold. But the king is not so easily dethroned. Despite the competition, Xavi remained an integral part of the team and scored a record 10 goals throughout the season. To nobody's shock, Spain won the 2012 Euros thanks to Xavi's dominant performance and double assist tally in the final against Italy, where he completed 127 passes, shattering Ronald Koeman's previous record. This win made the Spaniard the most decorated footballer in the country's history. Then it came, the year where Xavi would prove himself to be more than just a star football player, but a god amongst men. In 2013, he set out to play the absolute perfect games, never making a mistake. In La Liga, Barcelona made history by earning 100 points, the first team ever to hit a triple-digit point tally in Spain. Messi scored a record 46 goals, many of which were assisted by Xavi himself. Together, the duo rocked the foundations of club football. But his true moment of glory, the very pinnacle of Xavi's game, came in the Champions League quarter-finals against PSG. If you need to show someone any game that perfectly encapsulates the kind of player that Xavi was, show them this one. The midfield master completed 96 passes in total, an already impressive amount by itself, but most staggering of all,
he never misplaced a single pass. After years of hard work and raw determination, Xavi did it. He closed the gap from 91% to 100%. He reached perfection. Barcelona didn't win the European club that season, but Xavi's performance against PSG was an achievement in and of itself. The footballing world would never see its like ever again. The 2013 to 2014 season marked the beginning of the end for Xavi's career, though he made his 700th appearance for the club, which only makes the fact that he once considered leaving almost ridiculous. Barcelona didn't win a trophy for the first time in years. Not only that, Spain were eliminated in the group stage of the World Cup. Beyond disappointed, Xavi made an announcement that still makes Barcelona and Spanish fans tear up to this day. The 2014 to 2015 season would be Xavi's last in La Liga. After the tasting bitter defeat last season, both he and his teammates made it their mission to give the godlike player a send-off befitting of his stature. What better way of doing so than replicating the greatest achievement in club football? Another treble. No team in all of Europe had ever won 2 trebles. Thanks to a 2-point margin ahead of Real in La Liga and a 3-1 win in the Copa del Rey final against Bilbao, Xavi was on the verge of becoming the symbol of an unprecedented era of dominance. Only 90 minutes against Juventus in the Champions League final stood in his way. Before stepping onto the pitch, Xavi took a deep breath and thought back to his days in La Masia Academy. All the hard work in practice, the hours of meticulous study, the lessons learned, the idols and legends he'd met along the way had led to this moment. One win and Xavi would go down as the greatest Spanish footballer to have ever lived. The whistle blew. If you think this story could have ended any other way, you haven't been paying attention. 3-1 to Barcelona. Xavi lifted the Champions League trophy for the final time, securing a second treble, something no other player will probably ever experience. The man ascended to perfection, the player who physically couldn't miss a pass. If there was somehow any lingering doubts about Xavi's legacy, just know that he was named the IFFHS's best playmaker of the year, not once, not twice, not even thrice, but 4 times in a row from 2008 to 2011. Xavi is rightfully included in the all-time Ballon d'Or dream team, standing shoulder to shoulder with legends like Maradona, Pele, CR7, R9 and Messi. Many of the legends he learned from, others he beat, and some he even made himself.
However, there was an attacking trio named the BBC who became the best in the world, so click on the screen right now to find out more.